bring in now Nthabiseng Dubazana, who's a criminal lawyer, to get some analysis on what we've seen so far. And Nthabiseng, welcome to Daytime Update. I think a good place to start would be to reflect on just how important a moment this is in the trial, to have the first of the people who were with Senzo Meyiwa on the night that he was shot now testifying.
It is extremely important because now we get to understand what happened within the house. We can now relate a step-by-step experience of how the incident actually occurred, and also to see if any evidence that was found by the police officers who testified thus far can correlate to whatever is going to be said by this witness. So it is very important to know what's going to happen. And also, if they're going to call more than just one person within the house on that day, then we see how their evidence is going to corroborate each other or lack thereof. And it will determine how then the court will then assess the merits of the matter and decide whether or not the killing was actually done by the accused persons before the court.
I don't want to confuse things too much here. You say what he says today. I mean, we've already heard today when he mentioned Kelly Khumalo, who was Senzo Meyiwa's girlfriend at the time of his killing, also the mother of his child. What immediately came up was a request from the defense for her to be called as well as a witness by the state. How much leeway, for want of a better word, would the people mentioned in his testimony have if they don't want to appear?
It depends if they were even subpoenaed by the state prior to the court trial actually happening. So by virtue of you refusing to testify, the court can compel you to come and testify if you've been subpoenaed to do so. And by virtue of you, if you're being called by the state, for example, and you refuse to give evidence on behalf of the state, then the court can compel you to come and testify. But the state can then view you as what we call a hostile witness, because you're not willing to give information, you're not willing to give details of what happened, and thereby whatever you're going to say on the witness box should be handled with caution by the presiding officer who's listening to this evidence being presented.
To that point that you're making then about how the stories, so to speak, of the people who were in the house have to match, otherwise they too risk finding themselves in trouble, especially, am I right to suggest, in the context of a second docket that lists them as suspects, which the NPA has already said it may very well pursue at the end of this trial?
Well, looking at what is currently happening, I am of the assumption, I could be wrong because the NPA has not come out to explain this. So what we can assume is that the current witness that is presently before court is there by virtue of Section 204. So that is basically whereby you now decide to give state evidence. You basically become a state witness in that in the other docket, he's no longer an accused person because he's given whatever information that was needed in that docket, and thereby the conditions of him not being prosecuted was if he's going to give evidence in this case. That's the only way in my head that it could make sense why an accused person in any docket can come and testify on the same crime in another matter or in the same matter. It would be because he would have turned state evidence, and as a result he's now doing what he's doing. So we will see as to how the state is going to deal with this situation with the other witnesses in the house.
What is the concern, the sensitivity around, as you just pointed out, a person now appearing in this trial as a witness when possibly in another docket he may be called as a suspect? What is the sensitivity or level of sensitivity around potential self-incrimination?
That's why he has to sign the Section 204. So it has to be very specific in what the conditions are in terms of him giving evidence in this matter. It literally has to be written down and signed by the SPP or even the DPP in this matter that confirms that he will not be prosecuted in the other matter because of the evidence that he's giving in this current matter. That is the only way I believe he'll be able to get away with it in court for whatever happened in the other docket and the evidence he was supposed to be accused of in the other docket.
Nthabiseng Dubazana, good to have your time. Thank you.